Good morning, everybody. It's Garden Eden here. Thank you very much for tuning into this channel update. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I'm going to go ahead and cut straight to the chase. I no longer believe it's physically or mentally safe for me to continue to play Undertale and Deltarune, so I've decided effective immediately, or if you want to get really technical, effective August 3rd, 2022, to stop all Undertale and Deltarune related challenges or casual play for the foreseeable future. I no longer believe that I'm in a position or state where I'm able to learn and grow or interact with others in an effective manner. And so I've distanced myself from the no-hit tail community before it becomes a real problem. So let's talk about what's going on the physical side. Physically, as of August 3rd of 2022, I had a medical event. When I was streaming Flowey, when I was doing survival, I all of a sudden developed intense disassociation from the game. What I was visually observing occurring on the screen was not matching with the movements that I felt I was making with the keyboard. And that got worse and worse to the point where I was actually developing right-sided facial weakness, right shoulder weakness from the right shoulder all the way down to the fingertips, and right leg weakness. Also developed left eye twitching, word finding difficulties, and I was stumbling over my speech. And I've been a disability advocate for over 6 years. I've been a disability attorney. I've been a disability paralegal, legal assistant. I've basically worked multiple facets of trying to get individuals benefits for against a system that's heavily stacked against them, especially if they're younger individuals. And I recognize the signs and symptoms of a TIA or a stroke, and that's one of the things that I wanted to, really try to make sure I wasn't having. My father is a doctor, my mother's a nurse, like two of the best people you could possibly, two of the best professions you could possibly have in the household, short of having a neurologist there. And we're in the process of trying to figure out what's going on. I went to a primary care provider, and here's the thing you need to know about American healthcare. It sucks. Like everything you've heard about it, it's worse. And so you can't just go in and get a head CT. A head CT scan would show if there's any symptoms or problems with the brain, if there's any history of a recent or past infarct, if there's any sort of involvement that's going on there, it would generally show. But insurance isn't just going to roll over and pay for one of those. Oh no, you've got to build a case for that first. You've got to go through a bunch of hoops before they'll possibly pay for the test you want. And so, we're talking about word finding difficulties, facial numbness, and weakness on one side, which heavily suggests brain involvement. But we're ordering, they ordered a EKG, which is a heart test, because that explains everything, right? Well, not exactly. So they ordered the heart test, came back normal, actually better than normal. And so now we're in the process of, once they evaluate my lab work and it comes back clean, we're going to be in the process of trying to order a head CT scan. Because at this particular point, I still have the left eye twitching, and my right shoulder and arm is still not functional, not at nearly the level it was prior to August 3rd. But here's the thing. Even if that didn't happen, I was still on the way out. The thing is, when I started in the no-hit tail community back towards the very early part of May, that was the best version of myself, the best version I could have ever hoped to be. I came out of that, I came into that period having come out of a very self-destructive sans grind. It wasn't long, by any stretch compared to like Flowey or anything like that. But it affected me probably worse than Flowey did. Like I was so physically destructive, and when you come out of that, you're in a period of deep shame. At least I hope people are if they engage in physically destructive habits. And with me, just as I go about my general business, I'm very hungry for little. Like I don't strive for like a lot of physical, tangible things or, companionship or a lot of things like that. So because I don't hunger for a lot of things, I'm generally a content person. I don't go out of my way to be miserable, and I'm usually not, which is wonderful because my job is to deal with miserable people on a regular daily basis that are going through shit that none of you would probably believe, and I probably can't explain properly because it'll just turn your stomach. But when I entered the no-hit tail, I was meek, I was unassuming, I didn't know anything about any fan games, didn't know anything about any mods. I just really was as green as I could possibly get. And I wasn't hungry for anything. I wanted to do Azrael because it was the only other fight in Undertale left, but I wasn't chomping at the bits to do any other challenges. Challenges scared me because challenges turned me into something scary, was kind of my philosophy and my thinking. It was only after I relaxed, maybe relaxed a little too much, that I started exploring these things. Chapter 1 of Deltarune, and then Chapter 1 All Bosses of Deltarune, then Chapter 2 of Deltarune, 1 and 2 of Deltarune, and, slowly, picking up the Flowey Gauntlet for survival challenges and things of that nature. The problem is I was getting less and less happy. The more and more I played, the more and more I genuinely realized that all of my achievements, my accomplishments, the things that I may have in the past been proud of, were built on a foundation of sand. It wasn't built on a solid foundation of knowledge and understanding of how the game worked. It was built on gimmicks. It was built on movement hacks. It was built as far as me knowing to move here when this thing happened. It wasn't built on a system of tracking and following, of knowing where I was, of knowing where projectiles were. And so that led to unique results and problems, like me forgetting how to do slow shurikens, me not being able to do Weirwire attacks that I had no problem with in 2021, and other so on and so forth issues. And the more and more I played, the more and more I realized that nothing I was doing was clicking, and nothing I would do would ever click. The amount of time I put in Flowey is absurd. The amount of energy and time that I put into that fight is absurd, and I don't get any of it. Like, I truly don't understand anything about that fight. And at this particular point, I just felt it was best to part ways. I didn't want reminders that would have me move back into the game, that would have me want to replay it, to re-envision that destructive cycle. And certainly did not want to celebrate achievements that I feel are built foundationally on lies, that are built on a system of trying to understand the game that doesn't even attempt to understand it, and that doesn't, in fact, visually integrate any of the information into a solid foundation for learning. And so at this point, I've removed all Undertale-related content, all Deltarune-related content from my channel. I'll eventually delete them entirely. Right now they're privated. I just don't want to see them. But at some point I'll probably move into the transitional phase of just erasing all of it. There'll still be other channel updates as I continue to progress and make my way through the retro games I end up playing. I'll still upload my final thoughts, final boss fights, as long as YouTube will allow me to, and as long as I will. It's just going to probably take a bit longer because I can't play as long with this right hand anymore. And I just have to accept the reality that I have truly fallen to a new low. I haven't been this low physically or mentally since 2007. And I don't think I'd be lying to myself if I promised I could come back from this. I don't think I can. So I won't attempt to. I'll just let things be as they were. I'm truly proud of the individuals that I have interacted with in the community, that I've watched grow into really, really, truly competent players. The thing is, achievements themselves, I feel, don't matter so much as demonstrating and mastering competence. It's the ability of people to master their trade, to hone their craft, to be something truly fearsome that really drove me, I think, back into trying to understand and learn these challenges, which made me start chapter 1 and everything else. Um, but that's not been my experience. I've never really learned or grew. I only regressed, excuse me, and got worse. Anyway, I'm gonna cut it here. It's been over 10 minutes. It's supposed to be a short video. Can't even do that right. Anyway, thank you all for stopping by and have a good day.